Hello, welcome to part 2 of our Shaheen Basics Guide. Reminder that we are on Tekken 7 version 4.03. In this part, we're going to talk more about strategy and go over some basic game plan approaches. Also, a quick apology for the delay on this one. An unexpected circumstance pushed things back a little. In any case, as always, there's the written version of this guide should you need it. The link is in the video description below. Real short, so let's get going. It's important to start our conversation by highlighting that a lot of what you'll be doing with Shaheen is very fundamental. So it'll be a lot of safe pokes and movement, then you'll either go for a counter hit setup or whiff punish. Since Shaheen's move list is so small, your tools should be easy to remember, especially since all of them are also in our essential moves list. For pokes, you're going to lean on jabs, down forward 1, down 3, and toe kick. Down forward 4 is also a great alternative to down forward 1 if you need a little more range. Down 4 is fine too, but note that it's a little slow, has kind of bad damage, and no evasion, which is the big downside. Same logic applies to down 2, although at least down 2 is chunky damage and tracks to his weak side. Again, this isn't a big list, but these generic tools are incredibly effective. Once you have a read on your opponent's timing, 4-1 is probably the most common counter hit tool, but you have a few to choose from, especially if you're at any kind of advantage. Down forward 2, forward 4, forward back 2, and even hop kick are all solid options if you're trying to nab that counter hit. You can even try things like down back 4 or forward 3 for some slower, riskier stuff. Forward 4 is really good at the wall too, so don't forget about that one. And also forward 3, particularly if your opponent is doing low pokes a lot, forward 3 has great reward for low risk. Or you can apply movement and try to whiff punish. Down forward 1 is only -1 on block, toe kick is -2, down 3 is neutral, and of course a single jab is +1. So you're well within that perfect window to step a retaliation. Back 1 and back 3 are similar situations, just slower moves. Down 4 is also a common move to set up backdash situations. But Shaheen has very strong mid punishers in hop kick for close range and down back 2-1 for long range, as well as a strong I-10 punisher in 2-3. So again, this isn't complicated stuff, but it's worth pointing out so that you can understand that your fundamentals and reactions need to be crisp when you play Shaheen. This is again an aspect of Shaheen that is taken from Law and Lee. In this case, more Law than Lee, since Shaheen doesn't have any annoying full crouch low pokes like Lee's full crouch down forward 4, so your only immediate threat is the slide. Shaheen's slide is unique in that after it hits, he turns around and automatically goes into SNK for a free low follow-up, typically SNK 4. But the slide itself comes with considerable risk since you can be floated and juggled for the attempt. For mids, we keep it simple but effective, as you would expect. Your quickest, safest, but also least rewarding option is while standing 4 in I-11 mid poke. While standing 3-3 is a tad quicker at I-13, does chunky damage and can knock down and splat, but it's -13 on block. While standing 1 is I-14, only -2 on block, so actually less risky than even while standing 4, but it only gives you +4 on hit. You'll only get solid reward on counter hit where it's +12, which gives you a free forward 2-3. Your launch options are either up forward 4 or while standing 2. Up forward 4 is faster, I-15 versus I-16, and safer at -13, but less range, tracking, and damage. Since your low option is limited to just a single move, it's not uncommon to use the threat of the full crouch dash to freeze your opponent, then CC out and do a normal standing move. Obviously, this comes with additional risk if they don't freeze, but it's an option if they're turtled up real hard, which is not uncommon considering Shaheen's limited options to open people up. And that's it. Simple, efficient, and hopefully effective. I know I'm sounding redundant at this point, but you're not going to find a lot of complexity in Shaheen's stance. Still, you can find some success with it. To go into sneak, you simply press down forward after a move that allows it, or you can do it from neutral by double tapping down forward. You can also cancel it into full crouch by pressing down back. SNK1 is your fastest move at I-12, very safe at -1, +5 on hit, and +12 on counter hit for a free forward 2-3. You're mostly going to use this as an interrupt tool for people trying to challenge your plus frames, like off of down 3. You can also sometimes catch people with this trying to swing at the raw transition. SNK2 is a safe mid, heavy plus frames on hit, knockdown on counter hit. Still quick at I-15, but it's a little low on damage unless you nab the counter hit, so it's largely another option to interrupt people disrespecting your plus frames, or just to use a safe mid if they're ducking. It can also sneak under highs, which is very nice. Sneak 3 is the same move as forward 3, so very useful for people either trying to low poke you out of SNK or ducking for the low. On that note, SNK 4 should be your primary low. It's I-16, so unseeable and in some cases unbeatable. It does decent damage for a poke, has decent range, and has a second hit for cover. The second hit is important since SNK 4 by itself is -15 on block. You do have SNK 3+4 for a low, but it's very risky since it can be as bad as -19 on block, and it's I-26, so it can be blocked on reaction. It does high crush, so there's some utility there, but outside of that, I would not recommend using it unless it's a situation where you get it for free, since it does hit grounded. You can apply this logic to his tackle as well, which can be fairly easily broken on reaction, just like any other tackle grab, so there's no mix-up there. You might have already figured out that most of your success with SNK will come from going to it with plus frames, so for moves like 2-3, down 3, etc. if they hit. Once in sneak, you'll normally harass with sneak 4 to try to get them to duck or retaliate, then you start mixing in SNK 1, 2, or 3. However, don't forget about the SNK cancel with down back. You'll see a lot of Shaheens use this as a confirm, so if their transition move hits, then you can do an SNK move. If it doesn't, cancel and go back on defense, since most SNK transitions aren't great on block. Although there's nothing wrong with doing this on hit, since you can use the cancel, which leaves you in full crouch, to go into a full crouch game. Either they have to challenge it at some point or just eat your constant mix-ups. Keep in mind that you don't have very many really scary options from sneak, so your goal is to overwhelm and harass your opponent into mistakes. Just be careful, since one low parry or timely block can wipe away all of your efforts. Shaheen is unfortunately another character with a weak grab game. He only has the 2 normals and a single command 1+2, so they are very hard to land against strong defensive players. Also, unless there's a wall involved, you're not left close enough to run a scary Oki mix. Instead, you're mostly going to get a quick dash mix up. As usual though, if you mix them in well, maybe you can sneak in one every so often. This brings us to the end of part 2. Hopefully this discussion gets your creativity going and helps you get some wins. In part 3, we'll finish the guide off by going over some quick referential items like combos and punishers, and then we'll end with a brief character summary. Watch for that here in the next couple days. And with that, thank you for checking out this video. Don't forget to like and subscribe here on YouTube. Also be sure to turn on notifications if you'd like to get alerted as soon as a new vid is uploaded. I also try to stream whenever I can, so the link to Twitch is down in the video description below. You will find Twitter and Facebook links down there too. Lastly, special thanks to our 3 patrons, Tato, Apples, and Overhaul. That support means a lot. Patreon is definitely the best way to support your favorite content creators, and the more support the channel gets, the more content I can afford to do. Stay safe everyone, and we'll see you next time.